And it won't be easy because Mother Nature has her guns loaded. She can be a relentless competitor.
Blowing a lot harder than it did yesterday. We'll see what happens.
But we're all going to see what happens as we travel west to the state of Washington this week.
Blowing like this.
What was that?
So I don't know what we can do when it's blowing like this.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Well, 20 miles per hour plus winds can always be a problem, but in a gorge, the problem is magnified.
40, you said. 40 miles an hour is incredible up here.
It's incredible anywhere. I know some of my little lakes down home in Southern California, they get 40-mile-an-hour winds that close the lake down.
Yeah.
25-mile-an-hour winds that close the lake down.
Well, you can't get around that corner down there at 40.
No.
I mean, if you
Whoever
do.
goes down is not coming back today.
Well, they say they can't get around the bend, but you know they'll try. This is the Citgo Bassmaster Western Open, coming to you today from the Columbia River.
I'm gonna go down to 6-pound line and see if that makes a difference. Something has to make a difference here.
Well, a professional bass fisherman might complain about the wind or other conditions, but will always find a way. The field has gathered here in the state's Tri-City area with the goal being, not strictly speaking, smallmouth bass, but big smallmouth bass.
Thank you.
Nice fish.
Nice fish.
There he is. Very good, Jimmy.
Good one?
Of course, the Columbia River is a place of such monumental history, flowing down from its headwaters in British Columbia, taking on water from the Rockies in the form of the Snake River and dumping finally into the ocean at Portland. You know, with that much territory available, these bass fishermen are going to put a show on for us today.
Finally.
Good job, baby.
Man,
That's a big fish.
that's a biggie. I tell you what, that little rock pile, I came over that rock pile, saw it down there in 6 feet of water, I backed off of it and threw right where we just come across the top of, and he ate it.
There's more of them.
So, what we ought to do is try that again.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is presented by Long John Silver's.
Hi, and welcome to our show, the Citgo Bassmasters Western Open, Kennewick, Washington, the Columbia River. I'm Tommy Sanders, along with Jimmy Dykes. And Jimmy, the Columbia River, one of America's great rivers, truly big, broad, expansive, as we saw, quite beautiful, quite dangerous at times for these anglers. But for our purposes, the most important thing today, it is so full of big, beautiful smallmouth.
You know, we talked last week about this week's show, having some 4-pound, 5-pound, 6-pound smallies being landed in the net. We're getting ready to see them. And right now, Michael Gibney, he's figured out how to maneuver around all the wind that's ripping up and down that river right now. He is our leader after day 2 with a great catch so far of 29 pounds, 9 ounces. He caught 17 pounds on the second day alone. James Jefford with 24 pounds, 5 ounces out of Hillsboro, Oregon is in second. Kota Kiriyama from Japan, 21, 10 ounces. Jack Gadledge, 21.9 out of Nevada. And Jason Hickey out of Idaho, famous for the potatoes. This guy knows how to fish as well.
Famous potatoes, maybe soon famous bass fisherman. But Michael Gibney, 29.9, he has figured this thing out, at least for now. He's from Oregon, where they do a lot of smallmouth bass fishing. He really knows the ins and outs of catching that species.
It's amazing. I mean, you know, there's a lot of tournaments up here. We have 20-pound bag, smallmouth limits, which, is a good limit for smallmouth. I think it's about anywhere. There's a lot of fish in the 3 to 5 pound range, so you can catch a lot of quality fish out here. I live basically right on the river, downriver in Portland, so I fish from there up to about the McNary Dam a lot. So that's kind of where I have most of my knowledge. That's the nice thing. I can come up here and apply those techniques, to this same body of water up here, and just try to find those fish in those same types of areas.
Michael Gibney with 29.9, leading the way into the third and final day of competition on the Columbia River. Also with us in the studio today, we couldn't keep him out with all the smallmouth. There is Jerry McInnes, and our special guest today, the man who rewrote all the record books for the Bassmasters a year ago down in Florida on Lake Toho, Dean Rojas. But Dean, the reason we have you here today, you know why. You've been through the wars out there in the Western Division. We're relying on your expertise.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Tommy, I've been through some wars.
Okay, you too. You as well.
That is the truth. We are tickled to death to have you, and I want to take the word Dean Rojas and Toho and separate them for a little while. We're going to talk to you about it a little later on, but you really know this playing field that we're at today.
Yeah, the West has different bodies of water, and the Columbia River in particular is different from anything I've ever fished before in my life.
I'm going to make you a little mark here, Dean, from McNary Dam to above the Yakima River, and here is the Tri-City area where we'll be taking off from. So explain that the best you can.
Well, everything that you see here is all current regulated, because we have the flow going into the Pacific Ocean. And anytime you have a current break or an island or something that's going to block the current, that's where the fish are going to be sitting. They're going to be sitting there ambushing prey, whether it be, you know, on worms or a drop shot rig or a crankbait or so forth. Any of those lures will work well, but you always want to find the areas where there's no current or there's an eddy or something that's blocking the current so the fish can sit there and ambush the prey.
Do the guys out the West, do they have something going that maybe a guy in Atlanta or Charlotte doesn't know about?
Well, I would say yes. The West has been known for detail on everything they do. You're going to see a lot of light line, a lot of finesse fishing, 4 to 6-inch worms that are hand poured, custom poured. Everything has been broken down and made it that much more difficult for the average angler to figure out.
Well, I made my last mark at the McNary Dam. That doesn't mean we're not going below it a little bit. We've got a big area to fish today. I'm so glad to be on the Columbia River.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Citgo. And in part by Mercury. And by Triton.
Welcome back to the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail and the Western Open here on the Columbia River, Kennewick, Washington.
And Tommy, we've had a very interesting event so far. The 2 days preceding the finals here, lots of weather. I think you saw right there at the beginning that the guys were fighting the weather pretty bad, but we've caught a break. I think on our final day things are going to get a little bit better. So, man, we've been touting a big smallmouth. We better come up with one. I'm depending on you, Tommy, to pull one out.
Well, last week was the Bassmaster Tour. This week it's an open event, a little bit different format.
We'll just go on little binges every once in a while. You might catch 2 or 3 fish. Just bang, bang, bang in 10 minutes, and then it may be 3 hours before you get another bite. And you may catch a couple again. There's so many little key areas in here between humps and ridges and weed lines and channels. There's so many different things for them to relate to in here.
It's Jason Hickey. Jason is from Weiser, Idaho. As we mentioned, this is an open event, and last week it was a tour event on Lake St. Clair. Of course, that was a pro-am. This is 2 professionals in the boat, and they have a little bit different dynamic, a little different way of splitting up the duties.
They kind of flip a coin as to whose boat you're going to use. Actually, usually the guy who's ahead in the standing will get to use his boat. And then they share their information. One guy has pretty much control of things the first half of the day, and the guy in the back of the boat, in this case with Jason, is William Osborne. He'll, if he wants to, Tommy, he'll have control of the boat the second half of the day. Many of the situations pop up where you just keep going. If the guy's doing well and he's in 4th place and you're in 84th place, the guy in the back of the boat will generally stay there, and the front guy will pretty much have his head.
Good one.
Feels like it might be a keeper. You know how it is.
Let me know when you want me there. I'll just try to stay on here for now.
I don't think it's a keeper. Better than the other ones, but...
Here you go. Oh, yeah.
Mark Reesk and James Jeffords have found a pretty productive spot here.
We'll go out, huh?
You know where they're at, Tommy? They're in what I call the holding area. They're, look at the boats down there in front of them.
Strung up and down the bank.
Most of those boats are waiting to get down to the lock. They're all over
Try
the
this
place
Carolina
out there.
rig one more time.
You know, I wouldn't say they're wasting their time. I don't mean that, but they're biding their time until that lock is available. Actually,
Good one?
Yeah.
Mark wants to be here. He's got a spot there, and he thinks they'll fish there all day. He is not headed for the lock. These other guys are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, baby.
That's the kind that are here.
Thanks, bud. Dude, a shaking worm. I thought I'd show them something a little different.
Yep. That's the size of fish that we've been getting here, I tell you.
Go ahead, man.
You got him?
Yeah.
Reesk and Jeffords to Kotaro Kiriyama. His partner there, Clifton Blanchett.
Look at the difference in the water right here. How quiet and slick it is, and
it's a lot warmer too.
Yeah, and it looks, and a coyote thinks it's pretty neat. Can you believe that? Coyote, yeah, and Clifton is not even paying any attention to that. But look how slick that water is, and that's how it is. You get up on the water right there in town. Man, it's beautiful. You get down there in that gorge going down towards the lock, it's a different deal, I'm telling you.
Kiriyama and Blanchett, we go back out to the main channel. Also in that holding area is Michael Gibney, our leader, coming into today.
I've been down there for probably the last 3 weeks fishing in that area, and I just know what's available down there. I know the size of the fish that are down there, and I know that I did well up above for 2 days, but it was primarily because of weather. Little fish. I had to fish up there because of the wind, and I wanted to go down. I really did.
Well, Mike is going down, and this is the area where we just saw all the boats in the holding pattern, as we call it. Mike Gibney is right on this little point here, sitting there watching that lock. And he's going to run down there just as soon as it opens. I imagine we're about 30 or 40 minutes from the takeoff point down to that lock, and he'll be ready when it opens.
Yeah.
There we go.
Huh?
Get a net. That's a big fish. Oh.
Oh, geez.
There's big fish of the tournament right there. Oh, baby! God help me! Look at that baby right there. That's big fish of the tournament.
The other side. No, the other side.
Got it. Oh.
Wow, that's what we came for, and there's more of it to come. Don't go away. Welcome back to Sit-Go Bassmaster Tour Western Open, Kennewick, Washington on the mighty Columbia River. Take a look at it as we whiz through the gorge there. That prevailing wind coming from the west, 20 miles an hour. The stream, of course, flowing from the east makes those waves stand up nice and tall. Bring your seat cushion on a day like today. The other conditions, clear skies, pretty cool. Good visibility underwater as well, 4 to 5 feet. Dean Rojas is here. Jerry McInnes. We're going to talk about that lure we see a lot on this coverage here, this tournament here. It's a Carolina rig, which, correct me if I'm wrong, it's pretty much where the Texas rigged worm was 20 years ago.
Sure, and it's a popular rig right now, and it can be anywhere from a weekend fisherman to a touring pro.
That is right. Anybody can fish a Carolina rig.
Even me.
Even you. And if you will become the rod tip, Dean will show us.
Hold it up there.
Well, first we got here is we got a 3/4 ounce to an ounce weight, and we have a plastic bead here. It can be a glass also, whichever you like, but the main purpose for that is to protect the knot from the weight bouncing up and down on it. And we have our swivel, and we have our main line going down to our lizard there, down there. And that main line, our leader, can anywhere from a foot to 2 feet to 5 feet, depending on what you're fishing. Here at the Columbia River, we got a lot of rocks, so a lot of guys want a long leader. They want the bait away from the weight and kind of a free-flowing motion with the current.
A little bit lighter line here?
Always. I always tend
lighter than the main line?
Yeah, because the main line can be anything you want. It can be a braid, or it can be 15 to 17, when your main line can be 8 to 10 pound test line.
Here we have a fisheye view of it right here in action. This is what it's supposed to look like underwater, right?
Exactly. Yeah, as you can see here, the leader is only about 1.5 feet. So if you can imagine 4 to 5 feet, if the lizard's 4 or 5 feet away from it, it's kind of swimming off by itself.
And this is easy. You know, I hate to say this, Dean, but this is kind of a no-brainer to fish, isn't it?
That's why they call it a bubba rig.
You call it a bubba rig. I didn't call it.
Well, a lot of guys do.
And actually, all you're going to do is throw it. Well, really, if you took it, threw it out, let it hit the bottom, and just took your reel and slowly, you couldn't go wrong, could you?
No, you can't. And believe me, when I was guiding, that was the easiest thing that I can give my clients, was a split shot rig or a Carolina rig where they could throw it out. It was a high percentage bait. They were going to get a lot of bites on it, and they caught a lot of fish doing it.
We actually saw guys right here that caught fish on Carolina rigs that didn't even know they were on the line.
I think that would be me there. As you alluded, Dean, it's really good for, especially in a pro-am format, the guy in the back of the boat who has limited choices, really cover a lot of water, a lot of different options there. That's the kind of fishing we saw last week at our tour event on the St. Clair, up Lake St. Clair in Detroit, Michigan. This week it's a little bit different. It's the open format. Jimmy Dykes is going to explain that difference for us.
Well, we want to remind you that this is an open event of the Citgo Bassmaster Tour, which is a little different than the tour event we saw last week. A couple of key areas to be aware of. There are 2 pros sharing that boat, so control of the boat is always an issue. Selection of the water being fished also has to be worked out between the anglers. Now, the ultimate goal of the competitors in this Western Division is to be one of the top 4 in the points race at the end of the season, thus qualifying them for that Bassmasters Classic later on this summer. An interesting note, no one has ever won the Classic after qualifying out of the open division. You know, there's a great tradition of bass fishing, especially tournament fishing in the eastern and southern parts of the United States, but it's only been recently that the sport has gained momentum out west. We asked our current leader, Michael Gibney, to give us his thoughts on competitive fishing on the left coast.
I don't think we have the history yet out here. You know, I mean, there's so much history back there in the south and the east that I think that there's people grew up more, I mean, even through the families and stuff, you know, so there's just a lot more history. Well, we just don't have that history out here yet. You know, I think it's going to take a while for us to build, you know, the participation and to get the people involved and to start building that history out here. You're just starting to see some of the big names like Skeet Reese and Aaron Martins, you know, show up in the East now, and I think that that's inspired some people, and the more that go back and do that, I think you'll see even more.
That's our leader, Michael Gibney, another one of those big names to come out of the West. Dean Rojas is going to stay with us as we watch the action here. Jason Hickey from Weiser, Ohio, got a good one on. Where is he?
Dean, he is in the mouth of the Yakima River, and you ought to be able to explain that to us very well, because you've sat right in that same spot, haven't you?
Sure. That's one of the best place to catch a bass up there in Kennewick. As you can see, the river comes in at a perpendicular angle to the Columbia River, actually, and there's a lot of little humps, a lot of little ridges, and a lot of little small eddies down there. The smallmouth will sit there, and it's a natural place for them to hide and to ambush the prey.
And of course, we talked earlier about current, and that would play a big part here as well.
Yeah, so the current in this particular part of the river is going in different directions.
And I tell you what, Jason fished right there. He fished on that little ledge. He also went right straight across the river. Fish underneath that bridge.
Yeah, all those pylons and bridge pylons they stop current, and the smallmouth just gang up behind them, and you can throw a drop shot down there or a Carolina rig and catch some big smallmouth down there.
And Dean as well, Kariyama camped. He really camped under them pilings.
Yeah, I probably would too if you can catch 10, 12 pounds a day and finish high up in the standings.
Big score there for Jason. Partner, that is William Osborne.
That was a dandy, wasn't it?
Nice fish.
How many years has it been since you fished the Columbia River, Dean?
Year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah, this is the third time that BSS has gone up there, and I was up there for the first 2 times, and what an awesome fishery.
And of course, you fished the Western 4 years, qualified the first year, and got right on the right with the big boys.
Yeah, when bass came out west, that gave an opportunity to a lot of the guys out on the west to make a name for themselves.
This week's Fish Eye View has been brought to you by Sitco. PN2's exclusive presentation of the Sitco Bassmasters Tour is brought to you by Kumo, by Lowrance, and by Bass Pro Shops.
Heck of a way to start the morning. I love it.
Big smallmouth is what it's all about today on the Bassmaster Tournament Trail, the Western Open, Kennewick, Washington, on the Columbia River. This is downstream from Kennewick at the big McNeary Dam here. Look how tall that is, almost 90 feet. 45 minutes it takes these anglers to lock through there, so that's a very important part of their planning for the day's fishing. Jerry, smallmouth are fun. We got plenty more to come, but let's talk about largemouth for a minute.
We need to talk.
We got a great reason to do that. The record buster of all time, Dean Rojas, is with us today. A year ago, I guess it was, just about a year ago, Lake Toho around Orlando, Florida. Not a huge lake, but you absolutely shattered the records. 45-2 for a single 5-fish limit, and the 5-day limit 108-12. Unbelievable.
Man, I hate to break this up, guys, but we have got to place some fishermen, and how big was the big fish?
10-12.
Okay, then.
Okay, 10-12. Think about that.
Go ahead and place Gibney and Gad.
All right, they were in that lock. We just saw them there, waiting to go downstream.
Probably got a half hour to an hour, depending on
how far down they're going to go.
Now then, I'm going to take Hickey. We're going to place him in the Yakima River area, and Kiriyama, who's also in that same area, and that was a hot little spot right there. I'm actually going to put Jeffords, who is with Ritz, and they are in the gorge itself. And a lot of boats fish up and down that gorge, but they're normally just waiting for the lock to open, and then they run down the lock. Those guys actually wanted to be there. But I still think that these guys right here are Gibney going to his spot downstream are the real important guys.
Well, up there, the mouth of the Yakima River, going to take a closer look at Kotari Kiriyama, a man from Japan, lives in New Jersey, but really knows his way around the fishing out west.
My name is Kota Kiriyama. This is I've been fishing Bassmaster for 3 years, and I'm from Japan originally. I've been to the United States about 11 years so far. Then I just started fishing, and I was doing good, so I just kept doing it. It's amazing. I just came back from St. Clair that we had a Bassmaster tour, smallmouth fishing. I mean, I just loved it. This is smallmouth here too, so I do better smallmouth really good now. I learned a lot of stuff. In the West, it's really good here. I love it here. I'm catching 15, 18 pounds a day. I mean, Lake Erie and Lake St. Clair is really great too, but this is also, on the other side of the country that can be really great.
Come on, some little guys. Slip it. Well, this might be a keeper. Oh, yeah. If this is a bass, this is a good one. I don't think this is a bass. Is this a bass or what? What is it?
Whoa.
What is it?
Bass.
Is it?
Yeah. Monster. Largemouth. Smallie, big smallie. Whoa. Gotta get him over here.
Oh, my God.
Take your time.
It's coming. You ready?
I'm ready. Bring him on over.
Right here.
Yeah. There you go, man.
Whoa. Look at this. Whoa. God. Whoa. Oh my God. It's a bass.
That's humongous.
It's been like a whole week.
Yeah, that's a big one there.
It hit like a rock.
This feels like a good fish too, man.
job.
Thanks, buddy.
Nice job.
You want to take the front?
Yep.
Dude, look where that fish is hooked. There's arches all over under the boat, man. We just passed over like 4 big old arches.
You're going to have to tell us what arches are, Jerry.
Well, an arch is a good thing, I promise you. An arch is the image that your depth finder will show you when you pass over some fish. So when you start seeing arches pop up, you know you're around some fish, and I believe that our buddy Clifton is around the fish right now, isn't he?
Clifton Blanchett, also from California. Clifton fishes largemouth as well. It fishes a lot of tournament action out east, too.
What a great guy Clifton is. He is originally from East Arkansas, you know. He was a football player at the University of Pine Bluff.
Didn't know that.
You didn't know that, did you? And I'm ashamed that he is huffing and puffing there a little bit.
He's maybe a little past his playing trim here.
Needed that one. Needed it bad. Oh, boy. Look at that monster. Oh, man. Boy. Okay. Whew, boy. That was a job. Man.
Next week, we're going to head to a river that not so long ago was a muddy, snag-ridden, and even occasionally dry waterway, but in the past 10 years, it has become a favorite of bass fishing tournament pros. A navigation project has turned it into basically a string of lakes and beautiful backwaters without losing its flowing river characteristics. It's the Red River in Shreveport, Louisiana, next week.
There's a fish. Whoa. Yeah, baby.
The kind that are there, I'm telling you.
Yeah! It's a bass!
Dang it, dang it, dang it.
Yes! Yes! Let's try that again.
Look at that monster.
Oh, geez. Oh, baby!
Sitco Bassmaster Tournament Trail for 2001-2002 is still young. Next week, we get back to our tour format on the Red River in Shreveport, Louisiana. As Jimmy Dykes mentioned earlier, plenty more good tour events to come. 2 of them from Alabama, Guntersville and Eufaula, also in Georgia on Lake Seminole, concluding with the Classic, and each and every Saturday we'll also have coverage of the open events like this Western Open here. Though, Jimmy, at this point in the season, it's kind of easy to keep up with the point standings.
Isn't it, though? After only one tour event, and things haven't changed since last week, but oh, it's going to change next week when we go to the Red River in Shreveport, Louisiana. And you look at that Angler of the Year race right now, Davey Height in the #1 position. He's gotten himself off to a great start. He's probably thinking, can I go back-to-back next week? We're going to find out. Look down that 5th position. Peter T., the 2-time gold medalist in the great outdoor game. Kevin Van Dam and Larry Nixon tied for 6th, 2 real heavyweights. Van Dam, the reigning Bassmaster champion. He's right back at it this year. We knew he would be. And Kota Kiriyama, one of the competitors from today's tournament, who's fishing both the open and the tour events, sitting there in 9th. Keep one eye on Larry Nixon, though. He didn't make the Classic last year. He's trying to get back to his 23rd Classic overall. What a career. That guy can fish.
He can fish. Those in the know to keep both eyes on Larry Nixon. That guy is strong. We saw him last week in Detroit on St. Clair. Well, coming up next, back out to the Columbia River in the Gorge and James Jeffords.
Well, now I know the whole story. Jimmy Dykes, one eye. He averaged less than 1 point when he played for the University of Arkansas basketball team, Tommy. It was because he didn't have both eyes on the ball.
He had the other eye for the books. He was one of those scholastic type racerbacks.
Hey, tell me about this race we got going on.
We have got it going on right now. It's really, really tight. James Jeffords here can make a big difference. Let's see if he can put this one in the boat.
That's about a 2, 3, maybe 3 pounder.
Well, that's a 3-pounder. Now we got Jeffords with 27 pounds, 5 ounces. Kiriyama, 28 pounds. It is so knotted up. We got Hickey right below those 2 guys with 26.8. And of course, the leader, Mike Gibney, 29.9. Not even at his place yet.
And I said he hadn't been fishing yet. He had been a little bit, but he wasn't serious. Now he's through the lock. He's got about another 40-minute ride to get to his spot that he calls Fishney Land. There it is, that little hump about 10 miles from the dam. Buoy 59 is the magic number, and Mike Gibney is now in his spot, and he thinks he can catch him pretty fast.
Spot he's wanted to get to all week long. However, he has made do on the first 2 days of this tournament. A limit each day and a big day on the second day, 17.5.
We got a big spawn area down here. There's 2 big sloughs, Patterson Slough and McCormick Slough. Spawn a lot of fish, so know, you've got a lot of population, I think, down here as opposed to some of the other areas just because of the fact you got a big nursery right close by. And then the blaylocks themselves, I mean, is great structure for these fish. So you've got a lot going for it down here. You know, it's got a lot of food, a lot of structure, you know, a lot of off-water stuff for the fish to come out in the summertime, feed, and again, great spawning area. So it just has a lot more fish in it, I think, because of that alone. There he is. Get the net.
Yeah, I got it.
Yes.
Good God Almighty.
That's why you go below the dam.
And man, Tommy, his partner could hardly wait to get on the back of that boat and make a cast out there in his spot.
Talk about that a little bit. Now, talk about the ethics of doing something like that.
I don't think he should have done that. This guy, you know, he's got an opportunity to win this event, and that doesn't mean that the guy in the back of the boat's not going to get his shot too. But he worked awful hard to find that place, and he worked hard to get to it. And he should really have first shot at it, particularly until he can catch a limit of fish.
Now, someone might argue with you. They might say, well, in a pro-am event, certainly the am would be prevented from doing something like this. Here, they're supposed to be on equal footing. Don't they actually have equal shot at all the holes that they become exposed to?
Yeah, they do. But again, I just think that that Mike, well, you know, it's working okay. Every time he can get that Carolina rig out there in the right spot, he is catching a fish, so I guess we shouldn't. I just thought that was kind of strange.
Ooh, boy, he's pulling good.
Good deal. Well, it's 5 anyway. Yeah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. 5 bass.
Hickey and Gibney toe-to-toe there in the Columbia River. This fight isn't over yet. We'll be back to that in just a moment. Right now, Mark Davis, over the past 15 years, he's firmly established himself in the upper echelon of bass fishing stars. His wonderful versatility, incredible fish-finding ability, and that hard-to-define quality of being able to pour on the coals when you smell victory, all those things have sustained Mark in his professional career. In his personal life, what sustains him is his wonderful and supportive family, a family that just got 2 important new additions.
We were at a tournament, and a friend of ours, we were discussing a mutual friend, and it was her sister. She said the babies were born. So later that day, I went to congratulate our friend that her sister had had her babies, and they told us that she gave them up for adoption. And I said, well, you know, if something happens and it falls through, let us know, we'll take them. And she said, are you serious? And I said, well, I need to ask Mark first, but I'm sure, you know. She said, well, the deal fell through. And that's how it started.
My mind was, of course, focused on fishing at that tournament, and I thought,
to that point.
Yeah, I thought, well, she'll say that, and then I probably won't hear about it. But then I heard it over and over. So then I seriously started to consider it once I seen she was serious about it, and about 4 days later,
we had them.
Well, shooting up there, it might shoot Grandma's house.
Grandma wouldn't be too happy with me if I did that.
No, I think she'd be very happy.
You never thought that you could love somebody so much that quick. When I didn't have any brothers or sisters, it was always all my friends. They had brothers and stuff. I'm all, oh, man, you got little brothers. And they go, oh, well, it's worth it. I go, oh, no, it's not. And now I know how they feel.
We've had a lot of great blessings, but this is definitely the best.
We always liked the name Hunter. That's a nice boy's name. And then I think, I don't know if it was me or her, one said, well,
it was about the same time.
I said, well, what about Fisher? And then, well, what about Hunter and Fisher?
It was just too perfect. But there's things that happen in your life, from getting married to giving birth or anything like that, and you just know it's right. This was a God thing, and we knew it was right. There was no question. It was a gift from God, and we knew it was right, and it was the thing to do. There was no question.
This week's Tour Life has been brought to you by Long John Silver's.
Well, Mark Davis with a lot of reasons to be happy. Mike Gibney now with 3 new reasons to be happy. He has added to his total here. He's caught 3 now that he's at his spot 37.9 for Mike Gibney.
I got some trees down here I'm trying to find right now. I kind of lost touch with them. There he is. Look out. Get the net, bud. Get the net, bud. There you go.
That is an impressive fish right there. Mike Gibney, I tell you what, he's turned the corner now.
Yeah, he really is separating himself from these other guys. And you know what? Maybe the wind is helping these guys. That happens, you know. The good fishermen don't complain about the wind. They figure out how to use it, and the wind can be a good situation.
Well, Mike Gibney now with 41 pounds, 9 ounces can start to think about winning this tournament. He's pretty close.
I mean, in my wildest dreams, I mean, I've imagined it. I've wondered what it would be like. And it is amazing, I'll tell you what. It is absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh. Pressure is not the word.
Pressure's off of you now, though.
No, I mean,
yeah.
I got to get that 5th fish in the boat. When I get that 5th fish in the boat, you'll see a lot of pressure relieved at that point. You will see one of the happiest men in the world right there.
You're watching the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail. This is the Washington Western Open. We're near Kennewick, Washington, on the Columbia River. That is our leader at this point, Michael Gibney of Troutdale, Oregon.
Oh, yeah. I just lost mine.
Come on, get your head up.
There you go. You got your limit.
You put him down, I'll get him.
Okay.
That is a limit for Michael Gibney, somewhere around 44 pounds. Yes, he can think the wind is within his grasp, but it's not all over until he's made it back to the launch.
That is number 5. Let me get this in that live well. Uh-oh. Oh, man. I feel pretty confident I locked it up. I mean, the goal today was to get 10 pounds. So I feel good of at least achieving that goal.
Back over again to Kotaro Kiriyama. Kiriyama now more than 10 pounds behind our leader, Michael Gibney. 3 more fish to a limit if he can land this one here. At least this one or a couple of the other ones need to be big ones like that one he caught earlier.
Well, I tell you what, he's got a lot of time to fish. He's only about 15 minutes to the takeout point. And look up here where the Yakima River runs into the Columbia. That is the area both he and Hickey have fished all morning long now. The Highway 84 bridge, you've seen that in some of our shots. There it is. But he is right up this bank at this point, fishing along that ledge. And the water up there is so much calmer. You know, look at the water that is in the background there compared to the guys down below. Hey, those guys down below are in a gorge, and 5 miles an hour would just funnel that wind up through there, and boy, it is really treacherous.
No wind problems right now for Kiriyama. Boy, I tell you what, he professed his love for smallmouth fishing earlier. He loves fishing in general. Finished 4th in the Bassmasters Classic back in 2000, and in that year, he actually tied with Rick Clunn. And to this day, that's still one of his proudest achievements in the world of professional fishing.
Big net? Might be. I don't know.
Take your turn.
He's a keeper, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Easily. Come on, you know he's a keeper. That's a joke, right?
Sorry to find out. He's not big, but he's a keeper. Good keep. All right, thanks, bud.
He's a hard fighter, that's for sure.
He's a fat boy. Fat boy. Oh, my hook came off. Oh, my God. I bury hook. Bury.
Take the boat going.
I'm not going to show you this rig here.
You're not? Okay, well, bring it out just so we can show everybody.
You guys out there in the West have had a secret going on us. Here it is, a drop shot.
That's
and boy, it's pretty powerful.
Well, it's something that the Western guys have been using for 3 or 4 or 5 years now, and it's really good on some of our spotted bass fisheries as well as the smallmouth fishery. And basically what we have here, folks, is just a 3/16 ounce or a 1/4 ounce or an 1/8 ounce, whatever you want to use as a bell sinker as our bottom weight. We have a leader coming up to our main line to where we have a 4-inch or a 3-inch. You can put a tube up there. You can put like we have here, a little small finesse worm. And there are different hooks you can use. They even have hooks that were like salmon egg hooks where you just kind of nose hook them. And you really don't even set the hook on them, Jerry. You just start reeling when you get a bite. So there's a lot of different things that we're showing. And
well, do you fish it vertical a lot?
Yes, especially for spotted bass and for smallmouth, because you're only fishing specific little areas.
And the thing that I think of when I look at it underwater here is the first thing that comes to my mind is it's like a live minnow there, and it's 8-10 inches off the bottom. It's not going to settle down, and I just don't think a smallmouth can stand that.
No, I don't think any fish can stand it. And that's why it's been so successful, is because of what you see there. It's something that the fish haven't seen.
Well, I tell you what, I was assured that when Mike Gibney finally got down to his spot that he's going to be awful dangerous today, and he's doing all right.
You know, I made some really good decisions in this tournament. You know, this game is all about making good decisions, and I really did make some good decisions. We had all that wind, and I knew I needed to do well that first day, so I didn't know if I could get down here, so I went up to some water that I knew that I'd fished in the past. And I knew it had some potential, but I didn't know it had potential of what I caught the second day. But that decision, you know, to stay up there, you know, allowed me a lot more time and allowed me to fish out of the wind. I mean, where I was, it was protected, so I didn't have to fight the waves like a lot of guys did.
Kiriyama still needs one more for a limit. He's still about 10 pounds behind Michael Gibney here. His trouble, Jerry, was starting about 7 pounds behind Michael at the start of the game.
Yeah, I don't think he can do it. You just can't dig a hole like that. He's probably going to end up with a great catch for the day, but he was just too far behind. And, you know, all these guys have done such a good job. I mean, I'd like to point out the fact that they are catching these fish with their trolling motor, and that might surprise you, but they're ledge fishing. They're fishing specific spots, and they're in a lot of wind, and things have to be perfect. Their bait has to be in the right place. And in order for that to happen, you have to really work hard with your trolling motor and position your boat correctly.
Plus, they're landing a lot of big fish with light line.
I should say.
That's a nice one.
Is it?
Yeah. I can see him. He's down there deep. Good 2 pound, 3 pounder maybe. Nice 3.
Ready?
Look at that. Thanks, man. Take the front.
Well, Mike Gibney has made it back to the lock. He should make it to the weigh-in. He looks tough to beat at this point. From what we've seen today, hey, we should see some beautiful big smallmouth bass, and the weigh-in comes up next.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Citgo. And in part by Long John Silver's. By Flowmaster. And by Yamaha.
Things have been moving fast this week on the Columbia River. The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail, this Western Open, is just about in the record books. Here from the weigh-in, we want you to take a look at this. 18 pounds, the largest stringer of the entire week, caught by Tony Finelli. Tony wound up in 8th place with 28 pounds and 14 ounces. Kataro Kiriyama, we saw him catch that huge smallmouth a little bit earlier today. Couldn't catch any more really big ones like that. Kataro wound up with 15 pounds, 10 ounces, 37 pounds, 4 ounces for the week. He wound up in second place. And our winner, Mike Gibney of Troutdale, Oregon. Take a look at the smallmouth here. Mike Gibney with a great day. 14 pounds, 8 ounces. That was good enough to do it. He is your winner, a total of 44 pounds and 1 ounce. Now we take a look at the rest of our top 10. How about this name? Aaron Martins, the Wonder Kid from Castaic, California. The drop shot specialist had himself a great day on day number 3. 13 pounds and 6 ounces to sack up 4th place. Mike O'Shea. Now we positioned Jack Gadledge earlier in the day. Jack had a tough day, only 5 pounds and 10 ounces, so we didn't get to visit with him much during the fishing today.
Today's catch, Eric Nauer. In spite of the fact that he did not get the vote of Jimmy Dykes and Tommy Sanders, he got my vote. By gosh, a 5.5 pound smallmouth will always get my vote. And Dean, I appreciate you voting with me. We overshadowed them. Hey, thanks a lot for spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jerry. It's been a complete pleasure working with you and Tommy and Jimmy over there. It's been fun.
You're a real pro, man.
Thank you very much.
Now, I don't know what those two guys could possibly add to that. Give it a whirl, though.
All right. I know Jimmy can add some important points for us here.
First of all, I'm not old enough to vote on this set yet, I can tell you that.
Hold on.
With the conclusion of the first Western Open of the season, the Western Open points race is on the board, and what a start for Michael Gibney. Congratulations to that guy. He mastered the water that at times like fishing on the ocean. And how about Koto Kiriyama? There's a guy that had a great catch on the 3rd day, has him in the 2nd spot right now, and hats off to Aaron Martins, his 14th top 10 finish of his career.
All right, hats off, especially all the respect to Michael Gibney. He is the new sheriff out west for this week. Anyway, next week we're going to see if Davey Height can stay in the saddle on the Bassmaster Tour. Red River in Shreveport, Louisiana. We'll see you then.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.